The chair recognizes the member from Manchester, Representative Vaillancourt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of House Bill 436. As many of you know by now, I've spent much of the past year in my spare time studying American history, and in fact, as I was waiting to speak, I looked at these four pictures, and I've actually read the biographies in the last couple of months of four of these men. In fact, the Pierce biography was a 2-volume biography. So I guess I'd like to just take a few minutes today to put this issue before us into historical perspective. The month after John F. Kennedy was assassinated, the great African-American novelist James Baldwin wrote in Saturday Review, "American history is longer, larger, more various, more beautiful, and more terrible than anything anyone ever said about it." Terrible, especially for James Baldwin, who was not only an African American, he was also a gay American, in times when slurs against gay Americans were as common as slurs against African Americans. Yes, James Baldwin was black and gay in the days before I Have a Dream, before Stonewall, before Harvey Milk, before civil unions, and yes, before Barack Obama. That was a time when only the brave dared venture out of the closet. But let us not focus on our dubious past today. James Baldwin affirmed that American history is more beautiful than anything anyone ever said about it. Founded on the principle that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, America was born in beauty. American exceptionalism is for the ages, and we who gather here today are truly privileged. We are provided an opportunity to write a beautiful new chapter into American history. We can become the second legislative body in the United States to recognize marriage equality for all God's children, not because some court tells us to do so, but because we know the time has come. I was prepared to say we'd become the first legislative body, but 3 days ago, the Senate in my native state of Vermont, by a 26-4 vote, passed legislation similar to this. They beat us to it again. The time has come for us to affirm, just as we no longer discriminate against gay people in the workplace or in public accommodations, just as we no longer consider it appropriate to utter slurs against gay people, we will no longer choose to deny gay people that most basic of rights, the right to fall in love and to affirm that love in a lasting, committed relationship. Fear not. This bill denies rights to no one. It simply represents an attempt to offer free choice to everyone. Fear not. This bill says nothing about what children will be taught in schools. Nothing in this bill will discourage a young girl from imagining that she may grow up to marry a handsome prince. It merely sends a message to those young girls who have no desire to do that it's okay, that you need not be ashamed of what you are, that you need no longer live a lie, you need no longer pretend you're waiting for that handsome prince. This bill is not an attempt to convert anyone to homosexuality. It just doesn't happen. And to think that anyone would choose a gay lifestyle, would choose something that led to vilification throughout history, well, that's just beyond my comprehension. Fear not. This bill does not compel any minister or any church to perform any marriage that is contrary to the tenets of that church or minister. Fear not, this bill does not send us down a slippery slope to polygamy, bestiality, or incestual relationships any more than allowing blacks and whites to marry 40 years ago sent us down that slope. Fear not. This bill is not part of some radical agenda to tear asunder the moral underpinnings of our society or to destroy the family values we hold so dear. You know what's destroying those values in our society today? The ever-increasing rate of children born out of wedlock, the ever-increasing rate of children born to single mothers, and the ever-increasing divorce rate, none of which can be blamed on the homosexual community. Fear not. This bill is not about hate. Quite the contrary, this bill is all about love, about the importance of that most precious of commodities, love. This bill actually strengthens family values. According to Union Leader columnist Drew Klein, no proponent of a radical agenda, he, and I quote, "By inviting homosexuals to marry, the state can make monogamy a social norm within that population. With this one change in the law, the destructive effects of promiscuity can be diminished and the productive effects of marriage expanded." Thank you, Drew Klein. In all truthfulness, he was paraphrasing thoughts I sent out a couple weeks ago. I said then, and I affirm today, that by bringing gay people into the mainstream of society, we marginalize the promiscuous gays who are so often maligned in the right-wing media. Yes, it's true, rampant promiscuity and irresponsible behavior is indulged in by a small percentage of the gay and the straight communities. Just as the straight community has its wife swappers and its so-called swingers, the gay community has those who would play around. If promiscuity is slightly higher in certain segments of the gay community, it is simply because gays have lived so long as societal outcasts that they have come to see irresponsible behavior as the norm for them. Conservative Drew Klein gets it. Another conservative who gets it is George Will, who recently stated on this week's program on ABC that gay marriage is no big deal for young people. Being gay, George Will said, is like being left-handed. Something you simply are. We would never think of denying left-handed people the right of full marriage equality, and through our history, through the progress we have made as man, we have arrived today at a time when we should no longer think of denying gay people full marriage equality. As George Will says, in a generation, people will look back and wonder, what was all the big fuss about? That's how universally accepted it will be. Progress, Madam Speaker, think of it.